Don't say anything dumb. All right, bell ringer for today. So describe the U.S. purchase, annexation of Alaska and Hawaii. Why was the U.S. interested in these two locations? Did everyone agree with taking of these lands? There you go. Why or why not? So there you go. I'll give you some time to work on this. Might take you a little bit longer than usual. Oh, did not want that to happen. Sorry. Uh-oh, where's it at now? Oh, you are. There it is. Back to normal. Current events, Brady. It's Friday. Excited for it. Whoa, whoa.
That's what you said.
Oh.
That's what you said last week.
Did I say that? Consensus here. What do we think? Can you use the same one for American history and psych?
You did say that.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you can. You can. I like getting you going here, Brady.
Why did you say it?
That's because I want to do mine on the same.
Oh, wait a minute here. Yep, so make sure you guys check the grade book on Sapphire, then make sure that's firm. Make sure that there's no EXs in there. We're all good to go. Want to make sure that I didn't miss a grade or anything for you guys. Believe I had them all up to date. Emails. Learning assignments. Keep you good. Yeah,
When do we play?
I think Wednesday, I believe, against Mr. Henningers.
They told me that.
I'll check. I'll make sure we go over it. What is that? Thunder. Maybe it's a big cart rolling down the hallway.
My mountain has no, like,
Class.
like.
Really?
class. No. You should see what they're saying. They're still talking.
What?
They're commenting on this one, like, page on Instagram. They're coming at me for no reason.
What are you doing?
I
Fight?
didn't even do anything. I just put up 150 yards on them. 2 touchdowns, and now they're all mad.
What are they saying about you? You're a dirty
About my
player.
girlfriend and stuff like that.
Huh?
They're like saying stuff about my girl.
Oh my God.
And it's this little, it's this one kid that didn't do anything.
Hmm.
It's saying,
I used to get in those type of battles with Lime Mountain players, coaches too. They were saying that I was a dirty player. I'm not going to say what they said I was doing on the field, but
well, then
it was just way out of character for me, I think.
well, I came up to like my parents after the game, and the first thing my mom said was, "That's the cockiest and most disrespectful I've ever seen." But it's because I had to. It's
You had to.
Lime Mountain.
Oh, okay. All right. To say Connor was out there, John, I saw. They got a flag thrown
The
on.
one graph came up from Smoke and said that if like Connor acts out again, he's gonna have to.
He's
let
out.
him out.
Oh man. Jeez. All right, let's go over this real quick, guys. So we're talking about U.S. imperialism here now in the Western Hemisphere, really taking it to these territories, these smaller countries in Central and South America. So let's start with Alaska. Alaska. Was everybody on board with this purchase? No, no. Okay, so who was the man that decided, you know what, the United States, we should really try to put a lot of effort and time and obviously money funding towards purchasing Alaska? Who was this guy? Roy? William Seward. Good job, William Seward. Good. So many individuals said that, hey, this was a really bad purchase because why? They call it Seward's icebox. They call it Seward's folly. They're making fun at him, making fun of him a lot because of this acquisition to purchase Alaska. Tyler, why do you think it was a bad idea? Yeah, they had no idea where it was even located, right? So many citizens were like, oh, we just purchased land where? Alaska. Where's that even at? And then when they put it out on the map, oh, up here. Like real happy. What's oh, it's frozen up there. It's a frozen tundra. What are you talking about? It doesn't have anything to, obviously offer to the United States. This is unbelievable. We just bought a big chunk of ice. We all know that to be false, right? We'll talk about that soon. But why else were people upset with this purchase? Lindsay?
Because it was right after the Civil War.
Yeah, good job. So right after the Civil War, this purchase happened in 1867. So 2 years after the Civil War, we all know there was a lot of destruction all throughout, specifically the South, right? And we had to rebuild. Okay, hence the name Reconstruction after Civil War. So with that being said, yeah, why are we spending all this money on a big chunk of ice up by the North Pole? Maybe it's just like a landing area for Santa Claus, right? So he can get closer to all the kids, the boys and girls here in the United States. No? Oh, okay. Oh, that was a little bit funnier. But anyway, well, why else? Well, it's not even connected to the United States. Why are we purchasing this land that's way, way up there? Unbelievable. I'm glad you mentioned about the Civil War. Good job. Alice?
Some people worry that it would have Russia. It's like right there.
It's close, yeah. So as we're getting closer towards these countries in Asia, that might spark maybe a conflict or a war. Okay, good. So who do we purchase it from? Can I ask that? Brian? Who do we purchase Alaska from? Russia, yeah, good. For how much? At that time. Yeah, $7.2 million. Wait a minute. I don't even know I don't even want to know how much that is an acre. That's like maybe a penny an acre, right? That's crazy. So when you're looking at Alaska here, That really doubles the size of the, gee, look at that. You know what I mean? That's huge. It's massive. And it just goes to show how this purchase was really a great purchase. This was literally for nothing almost. And if we look at it in today's money, how much was it? I know, I think I said it in this class, right? Brian? You don't think I did? Pretty sure I did. Maybe go back to the video lesson. Alice? Yeah, $130 million. That's literally a drop to the bucket for the United States, right? That's nothing. That's nothing. Right now, we're bringing up ideas to spend over around close to $5 trillion. Trillion. So for $130 million, to really double the size of the United States, and to offer a way of, obviously, military bases. Okay, we'll talk about the resources that Alaska brought to the U.S. This was really not a bad purchase. Looking back at it now. So resources, what did it have to offer? What did we talk about specifically on Friday? Roy? Timber and oil. Huge, 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 right? Specifically for our military. As we're expanding our military force, oil, okay, fuel and natural gas, right? That's going to be massive for the U.S. as we're expanding as a world power. Timber and gold was another big, big resource too from Alaska. And obviously, what can we establish in Alaska to keep an eye on these Asian countries? Military bases, right? Yeah. So as we're expanding as a world power, now we can establish military bases that really branch out all the way to, really almost the border of Russia. Keep an eye on Japan. Keep an eye on the Koreas eventually when they come about. China. And overall, we have a capability of sailing to these military bases, restock, refuel to these Asian markets where we can obviously trade and make huge profits off of. So overall, Alaska, that was a pretty good purchase. Maybe some people should have been a little bit easier on William Seward, don't you think? They're trashing this guy. They're mocking him. They're making memes about him. All right, so real quick, Hawaii. Why did we annex Hawaii? Lindsay?
We wanted their resources like sugar.
What was the real reason we're there? What was the reason we told the
spread
American
Christianity.
public? Huh?
To spread Christianity.
Yeah. Religion, right? Oh, yeah. We're just going to be good people here. We're trying to present God and Christian values to these indigenous people way out here in Hawaii, right? Out in the Pacific Ocean. It was a part of Manifest Destiny. And a lot of the American public bought it hook, line, and sinker. Oh, well, if we're going out there for religion, oh, yeah, no problem. That's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that. Let's spread Christianity. That's a great excuse for expansion, for imperialistic goals. All right, so that was our excuse. So why were we there, really? Roy, what did we want that Hawaii had? Sugar. Yeah, good job. Sugar. So sugar was a huge resource that the United States monopolized in every market around the world. And now we're gaining another area that has sugar production. And like I said, we'll talk about Cuba, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, okay, and other smaller Pacific islands moving out, okay, as we're getting closer to Asia. So the United States is being dominant in this market. And again, why else did we want Hawaii? What could we establish there, Brian? Yeah, military base. Specifically, which one? Pearl Harbor. Good job. And as you can see, it's a stepping stone to Asia. And we'll restock, refuel on our trip to trade with these Asian countries. Awesome. So what happened to Queen Laligiani? That poor lady, poor monarch. What happened to her? Was she overthrown by the U.S. government, Tyler? By who? Not the government, which is kind of sad. It's sad in all directions, but Lindsay?
Capitalists.
Yeah, capitalists, right? So these business owners from the United States come over and they wanted to capitalize on the resources here. They're making a lot of money. And Queen Laligiani saw the mistreatment of their own people by these business owners. And we all know that the U.S. saw this as a moneymaker. And nothing was going to get in the way of making a lot of profit. So even Queen Laligiani. So these capitalists overthrow her leadership because, well, even these business owners had more advanced weaponry than Queen Laligiani and her warriors. So she was thrown in jail. And she decided to eventually in 1898 to reason with the U.S. government and say, hey, If I can't even control my own country here, can we at least be a territory of the United States? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, this works out great. So the US annexes Hawaii as a territory, and eventually, right after World War II, will become a state along with Alaska. Okay. Is there any questions on the purchase of Alaska, annexation of Hawaii? You guys good with that? All right. So you can see how US is expanding as an imperialistic power moving out into the Pacific and past its own borders to show a presence here in Asia, right? And as a military power that the world can see, as these European countries can recognize, right, as a competitive world power. All right, any questions at all? Again, there was a lot of backlash to US imperialism, but for the most part, the only way the United States is going to rise as this world power is if we continue to imperialize these territories, extract resources, and establish military bases. All right, so terms for today. We got U.S.S. Maine, Yellow Press, and Jingoism. Jingoism, what? What is that? All right, so the USS Maine, what do we got? Brady, what do you have?
Naval trip at St. Havana Harbor went on a mission of finding 30 to protect American lives. He was double during
Yeah, yeah, good job. So Spain controlled Cuba, Puerto Rico. Okay, we'll talk about it, the Philippines, okay, Guam, and a couple other smaller Pacific islands at that time. So right around the late 1800s, moving up into the 1900s, Spain still had a presence where? In the Western Hemisphere. We all know what the Monroe Doctrine, the United States wants to get them out of there. So with that being said, the USS Maine is a battleship, steam powered battleship, modern for its time, goes down to Havana Harbor, right, Cuba, and they're there to try to protect its assets. So some of the sugar resource coming out of Cuba that they were purchasing, that they had some sort of ownership of, even though Spain still owned Cuba at that time as a territory. So this battleship comes into the harbor and just kind of sailing around, making sure that its resources were protected, and to try to promote some Cuban revolts in the Spanish territory. So if you're Spain, you see this battleship cooking up right into your harbor, your territory's harbor, what are you going to expect? What are you thinking? It's a little weird, isn't it? I don't really like this happening, right? I don't really appreciate the United States coming out of their way to park their battleship right in our harbor. This is almost a form of what? Diplomacy, right? Yeah, almost like a gunboat diplomacy. So that being said, for some reason, you'll read about it today, the USS Maine blows up, just blows up. So overall, who do you think's to blame for the Maine blowing up? Tyler? Spain, right? Yeah, it's like that clearly had to be Spain, right? There's no other answer to it. And we'll talk about it here soon with the journalists, what they say. So as the Maine blows up, Spain is the one to blame. And they eventually say, oh, this was a sea mine. And at that time, these underwater mines, they're very, very new technology. And Spain probably didn't have this technology. Again, you'll read about what actually occurred tonight. But the USS Maine, reason for why the Spanish-American War kicks off and starts. Yellow Press, what do we have? Brian?
For the Yellow Press.
Yeah.
Yellow Press is an American term for journalism and associated newspapers that present little to no legitimate, well-researched news on instead using eye-catching headlines.
Yeah, good job. Fake news, right? Is that what you're saying? Okay, yeah. So they're building on the emotions of the people and discussing about political events, economic events, maybe some conflicts, issues that are rising outside the U.S. borders or inside. And they don't have too much facts to it. They're just trying to build on emotion, get viewers to see their magazines, their newspapers, and grab them and read, right? It's almost like you scrolling through your Facebook, right, and seeing a post that grabs your eye and you click on it and there's really nothing about that said title or that said post. It's like, oh, well, that was a bunch of bull crap, right? I was just trying to build on my emotions here. All right, good. So yellow press is this over exaggerated journalism, not a lot of backing or facts to it. What about jingoism? Lindsay, what do you have for jingoism? Let's follow along here. You're an artist.
Attitude of belligerent nationism or blind adherence to rightness or virtue of one's own nation, society, or group simply because it's one's own. So national pride.
Yeah, okay. All right. So these journalists are diving into this U.S.S. Maine blowing up, and they're taking for what it is, right? They're trying to make an enemy out of Spain when in all reality, this explosion might not have been them, right? But this journalism is trying to promote and push Americans to express their hatred, their deep hatred towards Spain over the USS Maine blowing up. There's no other reason. This couldn't have been an accident. So again, to try to advance U.S. imperialism, advance the United States as a world power, and to follow the Monroe Doctrine, a lot of these newspaper articles, these journalists were getting American citizens riled up about the Maine blowing up. All right, good, good. So today, got 2 slides for you. So please pay attention. We got hopefully the PowerPoint doesn't fail out like it did last period. The Spanish-American War. So we're going to dive into this war and realize and understand how the U.S. steps up as a world power. Okay. And this is exactly how the U.S. becomes a competitive world power and a strong military power as they defeat a European country in a war. If you want to put in parentheses right beside the Spanish-American War, there's another name for it, the Splendid Little War. Go right ahead. You might see that on a test. A Splendid Little War. Maybe. All right, so before the war, the U.S. was afraid to fight foreign countries, specifically European countries. Why? What occurred in Europe before the United States? Industrial revolutions, right? Both ways. So when you view these European countries at a level and the United States, these European countries were just through and through industrialization quicker than the U.S. They all had a stronger military, and we were still trying to climb that world ranking. Right? We're still climbing that ladder to become a stronger military power and an industrial power. So right around the turn of the 1900s, we're becoming a stronger power, but we need to prove it first. The only way we can dominate the Western Hemisphere is if we build up our military power, specifically our Navy. Thanks to who? Alfred T. Mahan, right? Yeah, he's devoting a lot of time and for the U.S. and money and resources to try to push the U.S. to purchase and provide for a stronger Navy. So I like to relate this war to, I don't know, Jake Paul's fights. Oh, I'm sure you guys know Jake Paul, YouTube sensation and now boxer. Does he pick the easiest fights for the most part? Yeah, right. So yeah, he fought UFC fighters, but we all know that they're not great at boxing. And this is a way for him to step his game up, right? And to show like, hey, I'm defeating a UFC fighter, Ben Askren. Although he's not a great boxer, which I'm boxing him, this is going to propel me in the right direction and make a lot of money off. This is kind of what the U.S. was going through at this time. Let's try to find a power European country that we can easily defeat, that we can go to war with and show ourselves as a relevant country, a relevant world power. And it just so happens that Spain owns territories right next, only 90 miles away from the coast of Florida. You're in Cuba, you're in Puerto Rico, like I mentioned, the Philippines, and some other Pacific islands. So trying to follow that Monroe Doctrine, and we want to show ourselves as a world power. Best way to do it is go to war with Spain, plain and simple. So with that being said, number one, Americans owned sugar plantations in Cuba, so we wanted to fully control the whole island. We wanted to take that territory away from Spain. We wanted to follow that Monroe Doctrine, get them out of the Western Hemisphere. So make sure you include that as well. Number two, which many U.S. politicians and leaders didn't really care about this, but hey, this is a good excuse as well. The Cubans wanted to have their own country. We all know how Spain colonized many of these lands throughout the Caribbean Sea, throughout South America, and even in North America. Did they mistreat the Native Americans? Oh yeah, big time. So we build up on these stories through the yellow press, through jingoism, and we explain how terrible Spain is to these indigenous people and how we just can't allow them to have some sort of control in the Western Hemisphere anymore. So this is a good excuse. Get the Cubans their freedom, their own country, out of the Spanish rule. Whether the U.S. helped Cubans fight against the Spanish, well, we're aiding the Cubans to rebel against this country so that maybe we don't have to go to war with them. Okay, we don't want to show ourselves as an aggressive power. Already, many individuals in the United States want to stay out of European conflicts. They want to stay isolated. And for the most part, they don't agree with U.S. imperialism. So there's no better excuse than to try to show Spain attacking the United States to get involved in this war, to take their land, and to expand the U.S. as a world power and control the Western Hemisphere to themselves. We already eliminated Russia by purchasing Alaska, right? The only country left, the only European country left in the Western Hemisphere is Spain. See how this is all going down? Yeah. All right. So, how did it all happen? Don't tell me. Yep. I don't understand it. The PowerPoint just fails. I don't know why. It does it all the time. Did it last period? Maybe I'm just overloading it. I'm not sure. It's annoying though. Hey, Raven, what's up? All right, you want to just take a seat? Well, I'm going to finish up this PowerPoint, but you want to take a seat right over there by the light so you can get up and go easy. Is that all right? Sound good? How's it going? We're having some technical difficulties per usual. So I'm almost done with this assignment here. Well, this PowerPoint presentation. So here we go. Finally, got it back up after this PowerPoint crashes. U.S.S. Maine. Why do we get involved? Well, the Maine, like I explained with the vocab term, it was trying to protect our assets in Cuba. So it was really sailing around Havana Harbor and trying to protect the sugar resource that's being extracted from this territory. At the same time, we're trying to provoke a lot of rebellions to occur from the Cuban people to the Spanish rule in that territory. All right, so we're really hyping tensions up in Cuba for the Cubans to overthrow the Spanish authority. So the Maine, like I mentioned, here's this battleship of the United States coming to a territory that Spain owns and kind of flexing its arms at it, right? Gunboat diplomacy in a way. Like, hey, here's our battleship. Spain at that time still had wooden battleships for the most part. And here we come with a steam-powered engine, armored vessel, and we're just trying to promote Spain really into attacking us. I'm sure you guys have done that to your little brother before, right? Maybe a little sister. It's like, oh, hey, you're teasing him, you're antagonizing, and all of a sudden he swings back, open game now. I'm gonna plow this guy into the ground, right? I'm gonna show this guy what's boss. Listen here, pal. So U.S. battleship, and the government, the U.S. government thought Spain attacked the ship, like I mentioned. In all reality, you'll read about it here soon enough. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe Spain actually didn't attack us. But hey, jingoism, yellow press. We need to create a clear enemy. We need to become a more imperialistic power. We need to follow Monroe Doctrine. Get Spain out of the Western Hemisphere. And we need to show ourselves as a world power, right? Okay, so 266 Americans died in this event, in this explosion. So here's a picture of the Maine before the wreckage. Like I mentioned, at that time, 1898, this is a pretty decent modern battleship. It's equipped with armor, artillery, cannons, and all different types of machine guns, right? And at the same time, it's steam powered. The Spanish, they're relying on the wind yet, okay, for the most part with their naval fleet. And here's this modern battleship just hovering around Havana Harbor. And here's the picture after. So these newspaper articles, these journalists were really promoting in the magazines and newspapers, oh, Spain attacked us. Spain attacked us. Just look, 266 Americans died. That's the title. And here's the picture. Oh my gosh. Talk about a wreckage, right? Talk about a wreckage. So with that being said, if you see a picture of this, you see 266 Americans died, you're a citizen of the United States, you're going to be angry, right? You're going to be motivated to get in this war. And that's exactly what the U.S. government military wanted. We wanted to make sure we could become the most dominant imperialistic power in the Western Hemisphere. And the only way we're going to do that is defeating Spain in a war. And to prove to the rest of the world that, hey, we're here, we're a dominant power, let's not mess with us, right? Hence the Great White Fleet traveling around the world with their Navy. Hence Matthew Perry, gunboat diplomacy. Now all of a sudden, the Maine blowing up, we're in a war with European country. Like I mentioned, I'll talk about this more tomorrow. It only lasts 6 months. It just goes to show how dominant of a military power we are at that time and how we're rising as a world power. So there's a slogan to this that was also attached to the picture to the 266 Americans dead. Does anybody know it? Remember the Maine? To hell with Spain. Cussed in here. But anyway, that was the chant. That was the slogan given in this war to try to promote individuals to hate Spain and create a clear enemy of Spain. So yellow journalism, jingoism, and a lot of propaganda created to show Spain as this terrible, terrible country. Lindsay?
Didn't they also want, like, support Spain because they wanted to spread democracy? Wasn't that a big thing?
Yeah, for the Cuban people, yeah, to try to rebel against the Spanish crown. Yeah, good. All right, is there any questions on that, guys? You see how this all started? We'll talk about eventually how we get involved in World War I, a sinking of another ship, and how we get involved in the Vietnam War, a sinking of another ship. Oh, maybe it's just a good excuse. I don't know. Oh, maybe. I'm not sure. So anyway, here's the assignment for today. Sinking the U.S.S. Maine. Just a couple questions. Use 535 or 534 in your online textbook. You'll see where to read this from right here, guys. You go to chapter 2, the title page. And here it is, chapter 17. You'll find it there. 534, couple questions to complete. That's it. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Take care.